Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator weather forecast. Today I'll be covering the weather for October 12th of 2023, and currently we have two main regions that we're going to be going over in today's forecast. We have a slight risk for Nebraska into northern parts of Kansas and parts of Iowa and Missouri, with a trailing marginal threat for parts of eastern Kansas into northern Oklahoma. We also have a slight risk for Florida here. As for our threats for today, we are expected to see a 5% tornado threat for both slight risk locations, as well as a 15% wind threat for both slight risk locations, and a 15% hail threat for only the slight risk for the Central Plains. Taking a look at our weather models, let's take a look at Florida. You can see that we currently have a tornado watch and an ongoing tornado warning for Florida. So this just goes to show that the atmosphere is ready and primed for tornadic development. So you definitely want to make sure you are staying weather alert and watching out for updates if you live in the affected area, as again, the atmosphere is primed and ready for tornadic development. However, starting off the slight risk for the Central Plains, focusing on that low pressure system that we've been tracking the last couple of days, there's going to be two main things that are going to help focus our area for severe thunderstorm development for today. One is going to be the strong belt of flow that is going to be advecting into the Central Plains with the mid-level flow up to 100 miles per hour, and the fully enclosed low pressure system, which is going to be leading to a collision between the warm front and our cold front across the Central Plains. With the combination of our warm front and our cold front attached to our low pressure system, we are expected to see some occlusion to help focus our area for severe thunderstorm development. And then we are also expected to see a very large area of strong defluence aloft. You can see the spreading of our isobars looping back around onto the western side of that low pressure system, and then it's splitting off to the west somewhere with a low pressure system that's somewhere off in Canada. That is going to be leading to a area of defluency in the Central Plains, which is going to be leading to a area of large scale lift to help focus our severe thunderstorm, our area of severe thunderstorms, with our occlusion. And you can see with the extent of how strong our trough is, and our very strong veering of the winds, we are expected to see quite a bit of directional shear to support the threat of tornadoes across the Central Plains, as well as the threat of elongated hodographs to support the threat of some small to medium hail across the Central Plains as well. And you can see with that trailing marginal threat, we are expected to see a dry line and a cold front develop that is going to drape down into the Central Plains because of our strong level flow pushing on our moisture, which I will show you on our dew points. We are expected to see a little bit of a triple point develop on our across Kansas into Oklahoma, which is going to be leading to a little bit of a secondary area for severe thunderstorm development into Kansas and Oklahoma. And then you can see on the western side of our low pressure system, with an area of weaker mid-level flow, we are expected to see some snowstorm development out across Wyoming, Montana, Utah, Colorado, and parts of western Nebraska and South Dakota. And then let's take a look at our slight risk for Florida. You can see that we are expected to continue to see impacts from that tropical disturbance that we've been tracking the last couple of days. We are expected to see quite a bit of directional shear from this as well, with a little bit of aid from the subtropical jet. We don't really have all that much directional shear from the subtropical jet. However, you can see that there is a little bit, which is going to aid a little bit with our directional shear. However, the majority of our directional shear is going to be carried over from the remnants of Hurricane Lydia. And that's about it for Florida. Taking a look at our dew points, focusing on the slight risk for the Central Plains, you can see because of our moisture return to the Central Plains and our belt of strong level flow out of the Rocky Mountains, you can see that we are expected to have a fairly strong dry line develop across the Central Plains, and that should help aid with severe thunderstorm development out across the Central Plains and into the slight risk region. And our dew points are expected to be as high as the mid 60s. However, there is going to be something that I am going to be showing you on our observed soundings, and that is going to be our temperature spread and our dew point spread. We are expected to see dew points that are going to be getting as high as 61, or I think anywhere from the 50s to 60s on our observed soundings, with our temperatures being somewhere in the 70s. So that is going to lead to a little bit of a very wide spread on our dew point and temperature lines on our skew T graphs, which is going to be leading to a significantly weaker instability across the central plains, and that was going to be one main uncertainty across for today's severe weather event, was going to be how strong our instability was going to be across the central plains with our moisture return. Taking a look at our dew points for Florida, you can see that we do have quite a bit of moisture across this region because it is Florida. We are expected to see dew points that are going to be mainly in the widespread upper 70s, which should support quite a bit of instability across this region. Taking a look at our temperatures, I primarily want to focus on where our different fronts are for our slight risk for the central plains. It is a little bit of a mess right now. However, you can see our cold front is draped down across the central plains from Kansas into Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle. And then we also have our warm front here that is going to be extending across Nebraska into Iowa. It is a little bit of a mess, but our low pressure system is somewhere right here, and that area of occlusion where our warm front and cold front meet is going to help support the threat or focus our area for severe thunderstorm development right where our area of occlusion is into Nebraska, northern Kansas, into parts of Iowa and Missouri. Taking a look at our instability, focusing on the slight risk for the central plains, you can see we are expected to have quite a bit of instability out across the central plains, being pulled out of the Gulf of Mexico. You can see we are expected to have the instability that is going to be getting into the widespread triple digits. However, right in the area of occlusion where our warm front and cold front meet, we are expected to see instability that's going to be jumping up into the 2000s range. However, overall, our instability is going to be a little bit more so on the weaker side, as I did mention our spread between our temperature models and our dew point models is going to be fairly wide, which is going to be leading to a little bit of weaker instability. So overall, our instability is going to be a little bit more so on the weaker side, which is going to be leading to overall a weaker threat for severe thunderstorms across this region, despite the extent of our trough and our current setup. Our weaker instability is going to be leading to overall a lower threat for severe thunderstorms for today. But if we had stronger instability, we could see a little bit of a stronger threat for severe thunderstorms. However, overall, our instability should be enough to support the threat of that 5% tornado threat, as well as a threat of small to medium hail and some damaging winds across this region. Then if we take a look at our instability for Florida, you can see we are expected to have quite a bit of instability across this region. We are expected to see Cape values are going to be ranging anywhere from the upper 2000s into the low 3000s, which should definitely be more than enough to support the threat of damaging winds and the threat of a few tornadoes across this region. Taking a look at our energy helicity index readings, focusing on the 5% tornado threat for Florida first, where we currently have some ongoing systems. You can see we are expected to have widespread strong energy helicity index readings that are going to be more than indicative of the 5% tornado threat. In some regions, we are expected to see energy helicity index readings that could be getting as high as the 7s and 6s, anywhere from the 5s to the 7s in some regions. However, overall widespread, we should see energy helicity index regions or readings that are going to be getting as high as the widespread 3s and 2s up to the 4s. So we are expected to see more than enough directional shear and instability to support a 5% tornado threat and an ongoing threat for tornadoes as of right now. Then if we take a look at the 5% tornado threat for the central plains, we are expected to see energy helicity index readings that are going to be a little bit more so on the weaker side. As I did mention, our instability is going to be a little bit questionable right now. However, our directional shear is going to be more than enough enough to support the threat of our 5% tornado threat. However, due to our overall weaker instability, it's going to be leading to a little bit more of a questionable threat for tornadoes. However, overall, our energy holistic index models are supporting the threat of a few tornadoes across that region, where we have our area of occlusion with a little bit of a weaker tornado threat draping down into the central plains along our dry line in cold front. And then taking a look at our snowfall totals, I'm not really going to focus on this for too long. However, you can see for today, we are expected to have quite a bit of snow. We are expected to see snow across Wyoming into Colorado, Utah, Montana, and Idaho, even parts of western Nebraska into western South Dakota. Widespread, we are expected to see snowfall totals that could be ranging anywhere from 3 inches up to 7 inches widespread. However, in some regions we could see snowfall totals getting as high as the double digits, up to 20 inches in some regions, even up to 25 inches in some regions. So we are definitely expected to have quite a bit of snowfall being supported by the cold temperatures from the cold front that has already passed through, and our area of strong level flow on the western side of our low pressure system. Taking a look at our observed soundings, focusing on the slight risk for the central plains first, we are taking a look at the sounding out of Lincoln, Nebraska. You can see we have dew points are going to be getting into the 51 at the surface level, and then temperatures are going to be getting into 75 at the surface level as well. However, because of the vast distance between the dew points and the temperature lines at the low levels, that is going to be causing a little bit weaker instability for the region in particular. However, we still are expected to have at least weak instability, with most unstable Cape that is going to be getting into the triple digits, into 900, which overall is a little bit more so on the weaker end, but should still be enough to support that 5% tornado threat and the threat of damaging winds. And you can see our curvature in the low levels of the hodograph is going to be indicative and supportive of that 5% tornado threat, with storm relative helicity and effective inflow layer in 157 meters squared a second squared. So we are definitely expected to have the directional shear to support the threat of that 5% tornado threat. However, our instability may be a little bit more so on the weaker side, and you can see because of how long our tail of our hodograph is, we are still expected to see the threat of small to medium hail across that region as well. But then if we take a look at the slight risk and 5% tornado threat for Florida, if we take a look at the observed sounding out of Tampa Bay, you can see we are expected to have quite a bit of instability, with Cape values that are going to be getting into the mid 1000s, and you can see fairly strong curvature in the hodograph. However, we don't have that that tail. We don't have that upper level tail, so that is going to be leading to overall a low threat for hail across Florida. However, we are expected to see storm relative helicity and effective inflow layer that is going to be getting into 157 meters squared a second squared, which should be enough to support the threat of that 5% tornado threat across Florida. And then you can see that instability and curvature in the low levels of the hodograph is consistent between other cities as well, like Key West. You can see that curvature in the low levels of the hodograph, and a strong instability. And then into Miami as well, you can see the curvature in the low levels of the hodograph and the strong instability as well. So we are definitely expected to see the threat of that 5% tornado threat. However, we aren't really expected to see the threat of hail, because we don't have the elongated hodographs to really support the threat of small to medium hail or large hail in Florida for today. However, again, we still are expected to see the threat of tornadoes and damaging winds across Florida today as well. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator, and join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. And if you live in any of the areas that I covered for today, please stay weather alert for the time being, and hopefully I will be able to see you guys tomorrow with another forecast.